maybe it's just because just like NASA when Omega was like, hey, we have this whole thing, we're gonna make a watch specifically for space, and they're like, oh, we already did the testing, we're good, we're gonna keep the old one.
I would wear a spring drive.
Oh, Grand Seiko would love that. You can look at the view of Mount Iwate from space.
Yes, I would not choose that dial. Thank you very much.
What color do you think the dial is of that Grand Seiko?
Okay, I was being a little practical here about the movement, then you just made this about a mountain joke again.
A mountain joke. What mountain joke? Well, let's start our show officially, and I think, as was suggested, the clappage this week goes to Ariel for showing up. So, welcome, Ariel. Good morning. We'll try and clap gently so we don't wake you up too much. Just a ripple of applause.
I may remember this tomorrow. Yeah.
Ripley, you were there as well. Why? How come you're not getting the sympathy vote? Were you not?
You were there, Ripley?
I was not there.
I thought you were.
I was in Boston before, and then I went out of town this past week to get married, but I was not in New York. I would have loved to, but this was one of the few weekends of the year where that was just not going to be possible for me.
So are you now happily wed?
I am. I'm happily wed.
So a round of applause goes to Ripley as well. Some clappage for Ripley. Gently.
I am no longer paying for my own health insurance. That is now my wife's employer. So that's fantastic.
Yes. I mean, it's not really.
I now know how it feels to be European and having free healthcare. This is fantastic.
Welcome.
Welcome to civility.
It's terrible here.
Oh, that's right.
I don't want to mention what I pay for health insurance, so I'm just going to stay out of this lovely conversation.
I kid you not, 2 days ago, it was put into law 2 days ago, not in 1872, but 2025, that hospitals by law are required to have toilet paper. So it's only uphill from here, because they just didn't. And, it's for hygiene and for basic functionality.
Did they take advantage of this loophole?
Yes. So now there's toiletry.
Was there no toilet paper in hospitals?
No. So you had to literally bring yourself toilet paper with you if you were hospital. All right, so you have arterial blood pumping from here, but you are like, oh, quick, the toilet paper. That was basically, the ambulance had to stop on the way to the hospital.
Big Hungarian toilet paper.
You could ask the question though, what happened during COVID?
Oh, you don't want to know.
When there was a rush on for all the toilet paper, it's kind of like a black hole formed in Hungary when everyone was hunting for toilet paper while all being admitted to hospital.
We had bigger problems than toilet paper then, but thank you, Rick.
I'm always sympathetic. To the Hungarian toilet paper crisis. And do you feel this is a law that hospitals are going to follow, or do you think they will just ignore it?
No, whatever the law is the law. Everything else will be just the same. You will have the ceiling dropping on your head and you will die in a horrible, horrendous infection. But you will have toilet paper from now on, so that's good.
How do they enforce it? Is there going to be a special team tasked with inspecting?
Virtually every Hungarian cinema or movie from the Soviet era is about the ridiculousness of these laws and how they are enforced. So you can just watch anything from the 1950s all the way to the late 1980s and you will see a documentary about it. It's going to be ridiculous.
I think we've established what this week's What You Like is going to be. It's going to be obscure Hungarian 1970s films and what watch they're like.
There you would get it. The problem is it can't be because if I showed you my favorite one, you would think that it's absurd and it's way out of it's just surreal. But you would have to know constantly that everything you see was real. I will give you some hints later on.
We'll get a list later on. Anyway,
does this merit a celebratory wristwatch? With a toilet paper dial, only the likes that Hermes or maybe Vacheron can do.
It should have a pulsometer, be a proper doctor's watch to celebrate the arrival of toilet paper in Hungarian hospitals.
I'm more interested in toilet paper marquetry.
A folded toilet paper dial.
Like toilet paper origami? Get Seiko involved? Creedor?
I feel Creedor is calling. That's what they're showing. That's what they're showing up to watches. That's what they're showing up to Watches and Wonders with this year's toilet paper origami. Right.
They fold to make tiny mountains and trees.
Yeah. Yes. Inspired by, I assume most Hungarian hospitals are concrete obscenities from the 1970s.
You could film any type of horror film or war movie and virtually almost any of them.
Right. Well, we've learned a lot about Hungarian culture and toilet paper. Let's see if we learned anything about the average watch enthusiast. Ariel article from the website. What we learned from the 2025 aBlogtoWatch enthusiast community survey. What did we learn?
Oh, you're going to make me do this now. Okay. This article is like 5,000 words.
Yes, I'm making you do it now so that this conversation is not 25 minutes.
Wow.
Good point. Just bullet points. Bullet points.
Bullet points only.
Yeah. People like stories. I figured that out. Look, I think that the questions that people asked at the end of this article, I spent some time responding to them. They were good questions. People were like, we put a bunch of time into this. So what I wanted to do was literally summarize the major takeaways about the watch collectors. This was a big survey that we learned a lot of things, especially about brand sentiments. And this article specifically talks about who the audience members are and some of their habits. And so I really encourage people to look at this. It's actually quite interesting. For example, we talk about the average number of watches that people own right now, if people sell their watches or how they get rid of them, if they're buying in stores or if they like to buy from, monobrand boutiques versus multi-brand stores. They like to buy online, buy in person, how social they're being. It's very, very interesting here to see what the behavior is. And what I found was interesting is some of the people who responded were like, oh my gosh, it's like you got into my head. That was for me the most satisfying. Right. Is people saw themselves in my analysis. They're like, it sounds like you're describing me, which means that, wow, we did a really good job of using this type of data to understand the audience so that when I'm summarizing it, the people are like, wow, that sounds like me. And I think that that is a very positive side effect of this. So that means that our results are accurate. So I encourage people to go take a look at this if you're curious what the state of the watch enthusiast is. The side of it, which we didn't talk too much about, though there is a huge section there about brands that people like and don't like. I call them the most divisive brands or the most popular brands. But what we didn't talk about yet, which I might go into in the future, is how people feel about specific brands and what those people have in common. So if you like a brand or you don't like a brand, what are some of the things you might have in common or different? And I'm really trying to get to the heart of why certain brands resonate with people. But there's also a lot of stuff in here which I find hard to reconcile. For example, I keep bringing up color as one of those times which I just think is fascinating. I'm sorry to use the same words over and over. I'm just tired and my vocabulary is so limited. So if actually you have it right here on the screen. So if you look here, it's actually kind of looks, it's backwards because like the top ones are the bottom ones. But on the colors to add to collection, I asked people like, what colors do you want to add? And the two lowest ones that people asked for were ironically two of the most popular colors. So how do we reconcile this? How is it that people seem to not want pink and brown, yet a lot of people are buying pink or brown? And the answer is, in their mind, they're not buying pink or brown. They're buying salmon or chocolate. And I discussed this actually over the weekend with a lot of people because I wanted to get their take on it. And a lot of retailers and people that made watches were not surprised by this. Mm-hmm. And so I think part of the larger lesson is the people who make watches, if you just ask people what they want, you'll get some good information, but you'll also get a lot of bad information. People who make watches has to use their gut instinct about what works well for them, what they like. Because if you just, keep polling people on social media, and we've talked about this before, you're not going to get good information of what to make. That is not how to properly poll people. So go read the article on the recap of the survey. Thank you again to everyone that entered the survey. And, if you are very, very curious about data. There's obviously more we can talk about. Should that be our after hours thing? You know, when we end the show and we do another 20 minutes.
Hours.
Let's just go deep into the data.
Dark. Yes, the after dark data time.
I just find it amusing how mentally unprepared I am to discuss something as complicated as my 5,000 word
Let's wait
recap.
another hour and then we'll ask you again.
On our survey that took like 6 months to do.
Hey, there was a couple of things I found quite interesting. One was that I'd feel free,
take over.
Ripley and David, to jump in about any particularly surprising data. Was the top 5 hobbies of music being the top one. I'm not sure. So basically, that gives me an excuse to talk more about music on this podcast, because a larger percentage of our listeners are interested in music than they are in
To me, that
cars.
one makes sense, because you can engage in music in multiple different ways. You can play it or you can listen to it. So there's an active and a passive way of participating in it and enjoying it. You can go to a concert or you could listen at home. Fitness, it's not, by definition, it's not really a passive hobby. So unless you're actively doing it at that present time, which you have to allocate time for, it's harder to engage in that. So for music, you can listen to music while you're commuting. You can listen to music while you're working out. There's the top 2 right there. But then you get to cars. Some people live in an area where they just don't own cars. You know, it's a city where it makes no sense to own one, and you just take an Uber every now and then. And food, some people like to cook, but others just like the nice food and don't really care much about it other than that it tastes good and the service is good. So to me, music makes a lot of sense. I don't think there's anyone on this planet that just categorically does not like music. All music, no music. You know, I can't imagine there's anyone like that. And I think if most people, they may not self-identify as someone who is, you know, a music enthusiast, but I'd be surprised if they didn't enjoy music at some point or another in their life.
And I also like this social involvement. It turns out we're all just lonely and we want to collect watches to make friends.
Yes.
So there we go.
Look, you know, this when I years ago I met a retailer who told me that the watch industry was a celebration industry. And I didn't quite understand that for a long time. And then I realized it. And now that I've quite realized it, I also realize the watch industry has moved on. It's still in a lot of ways a celebration industry, but not in the same way. And what it used to be was people will celebrate themselves or celebrate their families, whether it's like, I don't know, a wedding or an anniversary or a promotion. And when they celebrate, you want to celebrate with somebody, right? Like, what do people do? They go out. They want other people to see that they're celebrating. They want to hang out. And going to like a jewelry store or a watch store was like that. It's like, I'm in a good mood. I got a promotion. And they want the salespeople to be excited. And you basically bought this watch to celebrate yourself, and you wore it out for that purpose. And that's shifted to the watch being something that you have to sort of put more like mental effort into it. Like, oh, no, you can't just buy it because you like it. You need to know about the story. You need to know about the brand. You have to have the prerequisite knowledge to talk about the finishing. And it's become a lot more of a serious thing, and it's hard to learn. And so not only is it great to talk about watches with friends, but people use those relationships to make sense of all this. They help teach one another. And that's one of the things that I'm realizing. It's not just friendships. It's that understanding watches is so hard. It's often impossible to do by yourself. We teach one another about it. And again, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that. But that's, I think, why the hobby is sticky, because none of us ultimately like learn everything. I mean, I've been learning about this stuff for more than 20 years. I know people that have been studying it for like 40 years. Like, you never figure out this entire hobby. And as a completionist, I'm sort of like that. I know some other people are. Like, they can't get out of it. It's like, oh my God, there's more stuff to figure out. Oh, there's a new technology. Oh, there's a new brand. More to add to my brain. And being able to do it with friends just makes it more palatable. So it's a fascinating hobby. Not everyone still likes calling it a hobby, but that's my big soapbox this year and beyond, is make sure that everyone in the US and Europe and Asia all refer to this as a hobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
The average price of purchases, I'm curious about the one person that clearly doesn't understand what an average means, because I cannot believe that the average price of watch that this person buys is $200,000 and that they haven't bought £100 G-Shock at some stage, which whips the average right the way down.
No, there are those people who say nothing but precious metal touches my skin. And I guess if that's the mindset about metals, let alone complications, where you're like, oh, no, not a standard chronograph, sir. It needs to be a minimum of a split second. I could see this really getting up there. But, you know, well done to them. Honestly, well done to them. If the average price of your watches is $200,000, clearly you've made some more lucrative decisions than I have in life.
Yes, but during their entire watch collecting career, they didn't start off with a G-Shock or a Tudor or even a Rolex. They started off by buying a Ferdinand Berthoud. And
maybe not. Maybe they bought.
And that's where they've stayed.
No, maybe they bought a Christopher Ward, and then every other watch they've purchased was like a handmade Grubel, and then that's how they at $1 million plus. And then there's the $100 piece, and there, who knows? I think it could be skewed, however. But well done to that person.
It could be that actually it's Roger Smith that has answered this question, and he only owns one watch, and it's his own, and it's over $200,000 worth.
No, it's definitely not him.
There's plenty of people who spend this much on a regular basis.
Roger Smith famously says that he doesn't have any of his own watches, but he does have an Explorer. He does have a Christopher Ward. So that is most certainly not Roger Smith.
But does he buy them?
I believe so. If you're Roger Smith, I don't think you're trading one of your watches to Mike France for a Christopher Ward. I think
Mike probably just said, "Here you go, Roger. Would you wear this for us, please?" I'm surprised at the average price of purchases in that I expected it to be higher, but it skews actually surprisingly low in my mind to less than $1,000. I thought it would be for people who are likely to answer a survey and be interested in watches and be listening to podcasts and engaging, to be more in the $3,000 to $5,000 mark.
Don't take these as science, because look, when someone self-reports, it's not exactly what they're doing.
It's not science.
No, because it's self-reported. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bias here, so you have to take this through the lens of the bias. This is someone reporting on themselves, and people, I think, will tend to not actually know. I think it's actually a complicated thing. So this is actually what people think or what people want. Sometimes they're like, oh, I've been spending too much money on watches. I actually think the average is not that high. Actually, the average price is pretty low. I actually think people underreport here. That's my guess.
Should actually be, there should be brackets after this, which says average price of purchase of watches of what we told our life partners.
Well, it's also average price. So if we're really going through it, I have bought dozens of Casios for under $40 on Amazon and just over the years. I have bought a countable number of watches that have ended in thousands with the price point. So, this doesn't really surprise me. For the avid watch enthusiast who likes buying new watches, they're probably buying a lot more of those cheap and cheerful things along the way as they save up for that Grubel Force or, whatever they're gunning for, that's going to skew things the opposite direction. So I think when you think about average, I could see it getting up there, especially when you look at how many watches people own. This isn't the 3 watch collections. There are a few of those people, but a lot of people here have 10 plus, it seems.
And finally, from my point of view, I would like to point out that I would like to thank all the Panerai owners that voted and selected on the size preference, so that 45mm plus did better than under 36mm. So yeah, Yabu sucks to all you that say that the small watch is returning. Us 42 plus are still, we're still in with a shout. If you total the 42s and 45s, we're still equal to the 36 to 38, and long may it continue. So yeah, rumors of our Panerai demise size wise are closely exaggerated.
I have to comment here. What's actually interesting is the amount of people that like larger watches has not changed. There's just a lot of new people in there that like smaller watches. There's not that many people who have like fundamentally changed the sizes. If you're someone that likes 44mm and you did 10 years ago, the chances that you just all of a sudden like 36, I'm not saying you never change the size, but this is a different group of people. So it's sort of like, different sports teams, like you just had different preferences. They're all going to be out there. You might think that like your team is the best, but the reality is there's no good watch size. But the average is still about 40 millimeters. That's still what more people want most of the time. So I don't see this thing where like, stop making big watches. No, people are still buying them super commonly. If you make a 45 millimeter watch, you will find plenty of guys out there that want to get it. It's just now that if you make a 38, there'll also be people. But from the numbers I've seen, you're still safer above 42 than under 40.
Okay. Right. Well, we're now going to delve into our Unplanned Watches 101. Ariel, you didn't want any planning in this, so you're going to have to quickly nominate in your brain-fuzzled way. So we're going to discuss a brand or a particular SKU. So time to select one. Anyone can choose. A rant for this week. So someone's going to have to rant about something. And a newbie watch complication, something you wish to explain to those who may be tuning in accidentally to this podcast because they were really looking for Hungarian film reviews from the 1970s and the AI and the algorithm brought them to a watch podcast instead. So Ariel, select us. What's our brand stroke watch SKU going to be this week?
I was going to do a complication.
Okay, complication.
I was thinking the like a constant force mechanism.
Okay, so we're starting off nice and straightforward. I got a rail last week for doing equation of time and you want to do constant force mechanism. Okay, right, let's go. So our newbie watch descriptor for this week from Watches 101 is the constant force mechanism. Ariel, discuss.
We're not going to choose the other two topics as well, so I can start to ponder them.
Well, okay, well, if you wish to. So, David, Ripley suggestions for rant, brand.
A rant?
Does the rant have to be about a brand or can it just be?
No, it can just be a rant.
It would be the ubiquity of the integrated bracelet design.
Okay, integrated bracelet we're going to have, and then a SKU to talk about that we can create suitably clickbait YouTube content for. I'm choosing the Submariner. I want to pose the question, is the Submariner actually the most classic Rolex? Is that the one? Is that the one watch to own? Single watch to own? Is it the Rolex
from
Submariner?
Rolex?
Can I rant about small watch collections? Your 3 watch collection, your 5 watch collection. Can I rant about how I barely even go on social media, but I constantly see this flash up and I'm like, who's asking for this? Who's like, oh my gosh, I love this hobby, but I want to narrow it down to 3 watches I'm supposed to own.
People with a budget.
Oh, but then they get even more where it's like you need the pilot, the driver, and the diver. Mm-hmm. It's like, look, if you're doing all of those things, you're a pretty awesome human. You're like in the Navy or something like that. And why are you choosing them based on category? Choose the ones that you actually do. Like, this is the gym. This is the dog walk. This is cooking dinner at home. Like.
Okay, well, we can have 2 rants instead. So we can do the integrated
bracelet. We got rants for days, guys.
And the 3 watch collection. Okay, so because I need to do this in a way that introduces it so as we can cut it all up. So first up in our Watches 101 rant section today is the ubiquity, and David's going to lead this, of the integrated bracelet. Why is the integrated bracelet deserving?
Because we want to free the bracelet.
Free the bracelet.
Yes. Why is this a big thing? It's a big thing. It's an echo chamber, the integrated bracelet design. It's like people seem to want it, so we make more. The more we make, the more people seem to want it because it's like, oh, it's trendy. It works, I guess. The moment you put it on your wrist, it just, most all of them, not all of them, but a solid 3/4 of integrated bracelet watch designs just don't look good on the wrist. They are pretty objects sometimes, but, more often than not, they just don't look good on the wrist at all, in my experience.
And is this going to continue?
I'm afraid so, yes.
For a while, yeah. I mean, the problem
Until
is...
every brand has one.
I think if you talk to most enthusiasts, I think people like bracelets. Like if you went up to someone and said, with or without a bracelet, people are going to say I can always take it off and put something else on, right? No, not with the integrated bracelet. And I think that's kind of the crux of the issue, where people like it. It's a trendy style. It looks very complete and cohesive, but it really does limit your ability to kind of switch things up in terms of straps. You're then kind of tethered to very specific companies like Deluxe that make them for watches, or the brand themselves when it comes to third-party options. And as we said many times, making a bracelet is a lot harder than people think. A case, 2 parts, 3 parts, 5 parts. A bracelet, each link is multiple parts, depending on what the design of it. And they all have to work very well within reasonable tolerances to both be comfortable on the wrist, articulate well, and all of that. And then that's before we even get to the clasp. It's hard to make a good bracelet, and it's hard to make a good bracelet cheaply. And so when we get to the race to the bottom for who can make the most passable integrated bracelet watch, we're kind of doing the watches themselves a disservice, because if you could swap that bracelet out for a strap, you might end up with something that would make you happier, but the brand's trying to hit a $500, $600, whatever dollar price point. And so you get something that's fine, but it really kind of pigeonholes you into being this sort of affordable watch, and there's no really way to elevate it or make it your own. So I like the style, but I think it's kind of limiting as far as what you can do with it. And there's only so much you can change with the style of an integrated bracelet to make it unique from a visual perspective, because look how many things either look like a Royal Oak, a Nautilus, or a Tissot PRX. That's like 80% of them.
So what's the future? There is no future.
There's no future. People will
future.
start copying the Jubilee again and the Oyster, and then it will be solved for another 10 years.
Okay.
And then they will come back.
This term integrated bracelet did not exist when I first started collecting watches. Like, a lot of these watches did, but the term didn't. And so when the term first came out, I was like, that's a very awkward way of defining what it is, but it is a hard thing to define. Basically, in a nutshell, let's copy whatever was successful with Gerald Genta. I mean, that's really what it is, right? But there's no succinct way of saying that. And what he did is really do a merger between jewelry, as many people thought about it, and a men's sports watch. There had been plenty of women's jewelry bracelets that told the time, but you didn't have a lot of this for men. So what Gerald Genta really did is he took this idea of a bracelet that told the time for men. And that's really what it was. And the integration was that there was a cohesive look between the case and the bracelet, and there wasn't sort of an abrupt change. Like, this is the watch case and this is the bracelet. Wherever that connection was sort of more of a blurry line. And that ended up being popular because it allowed men to wear essentially something that was more jewelry style. And a lot of these watches, like the Nautilus, even though it was steel, was essentially finished like jewelry. It even came from more like a jewelry department. It wasn't even like really made in the same department, and it really wasn't even about a lot of the stuff they did. It was just a thin automatic movement, but it was really the emphasis was on the finishing of the case and the bracelet more like jewelry. There's no really succinct way of saying that, so they just say integrated bracelet design, which sounds just all clunky and awkward. I think that there's a big future to that, but what I want to see is just new shapes and things like that. They don't all need to look like Gerald Genta lugs, the Gerald Genta taper, the Gerald Genta angles, or even if it's not Gerald Genta, it's sort of inspired by that whole world that he helped popularize. And again, he was into a lot of other stuff, so that was not the one aesthetic that he was stuck on. So where I think this has merit is the idea that men want to wear jewelry that tells the time.
Angles.
And it some of it can have angles, some of it can curves.
No, bangles. Men just want to wear bangles. They just want to wear bracelets, but they have to justify it by putting a watch face on it somehow. We really just want
You're right.
jingly,
we don't like just
stuff.
stacking the bracelets like the ladies do.
Yeah.
But for me, that's really what it's about. But I want to see the future of this being widely new shapes. We don't need to be stuck on this one same profile that David knows when closing his eyes and Ripley knows. And most of these watches have that same profile. And so, look, it's wonderful that these are popular. But again, we're at the sort of like part of the collecting hobby where we're going to get sick of stuff the soonest. There's still plenty of folks that are only lightly into watches, have not discovered this stuff. So it's still going to be made because there's a lot of folks out there that are still going to want to get it. Hopefully that means more good values. And look, a couple of years ago, you wanted something nice like this, you had to spend crazy amounts of money. Now you can get the PRX and all the watches like the PRX. So it's actually translated into this wonderful product evolution and ability to have much more affordable prices. You can now have an amazing integrated bracelet watch with nice finishing and interesting design and unique parts for like $1,000 to $2,000, or you can spend a little bit more, but that's all you really need to spend. You don't need to get a Nautilus anymore. So in fact, that's the best thing. The one model that was so popular and got all crazy expensive as a result of this is completely unnecessary to enjoy the look these days.
So does this count as a rant? Is it a proper rant? Is it a rant-worthy topic, or are we just slightly annoyed?
It's more discussion than a rant, but a good one at that.
A good one at that. Well, how many integrated bracelet watches do you each own?
Thousands.
I don't think I own any. No, I don't own any integrated bracelet watches.
Because you own a Panerai and it doesn't have a bracelet. Like, you're thinking about it like, oh, I don't know if I do. Really?
There's like 6 on my desk right now.
Is that right? Okay, well, it looks like the integrated bracelet watch is certainly here to stay and not going anywhere. Okay, newbie topic.
Sorry, David.
Newbie topic, Ariel. For Watches 101, the constant force tourbillon. No, just the constant force mechanism. Not necessarily a tourbillon, but a constant force mechanism.
It's more like the 901, not the 101. Yeah. You have to go to like chapter 9 before you get the freaking constant force.
Wow, 901 class? We're going to be in college forever. I love it.
Yeah, excellent. So,
constant force mechanism. Well, I think as the name implies, it battles against the evil, which would be intermittent
gravity.
Force. Or no, it's the constant force mechanism is a very elegant solution to the problem where timing requires consistent power. So in order for a regulation system to be consistent and reliable, it has to have a very steady amount of power going to it. And we see this problem occur mostly when the mainspring is all the way wound up or all the way unwound. And because of that, less power comes out of it. And that's going to change the speed at which the regulation system works, which is going to change the accuracy. So in a very basic level, a constant force mechanism is designed to remove this problem and deliver a constant amount of force to the running gear train, no matter how much power is in the mainspring. And the watch industry has developed a whole exotic variety of ways of implementing constant force mechanisms. You have some very old ones, like the Fusee chain transmission system, which is a way of using a cone, essentially, in a chain. And as that cone widens or narrows, obviously it changes the physics, and it's supposed to do that in a complementary way to the mainspring unwinding. And so that's actually a very old system, but it's sort of based upon the idea of just this conical system, which is quite elegant. These days, you have really fascinating things engineered out of silicon. So Gerard Perregaux came out with their special silicon constant force escape. It's one of the first ones. And what I thought was really funny is one of the original founders' name was Constant. So it's like Constance Perregaux or something like that, which I was like, is that real? Right? But apparently that was one of his names. So the constant force escapement was also like a double entendre because it was like the guy's name, which I guess was
constant force.
Alain Gonzone in the Zeitwerk, they had to develop a constant force mechanism to make sure that when you wanted to change all those discs to tell the time, you had a very consistent amount of energy. Too much or too little wasn't going to do it. So one of the ways that constant force mechanisms operate is they allow energy to build up, to have sort of a secondary spring system, and then that spring kind of drips a consistent amount. So it gets powered up, and then it unleashes its power in a consistent amount. And so there's all these interesting ways of creating an intermediary system which takes the power from the mainspring and creates a more consistent version, which again doles it out and almost like think of it like drops, consistent drops to the movement. I love this because this has to do with sort of the heart of horology, the ability to track time consistently over time, to have autonomy and reliability. So there are not a lot of constant force mechanisms in low-end watches. I can't think of too many that have it at all. It's extremely useful. It's combined with other complications. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's very few watches like time only, but constant force mechanism. Usually there's some other system in there which it is there to help to maintain, such as moving giant discs. It is used a lot when movements need large amounts of power because receiving that power can be disruptive. What am I missing, guys, about the overall needs of a constant force mechanism and what they're attempting to do?
Nothing.
Okay.
Not much. You even mentioned the tight work, so I think we're there.
Yes,
I think
yeah.
that's
Who does it the
plenty.
best? Who does it the best?
That's what's wonderful. You have all these different ways of going about. A remontoire is another form of constant force mechanism. And I think that's what's so exciting about it is there's no one way of doing it. There's the idea is to dole out small amounts of power in consistent amounts to the movement. But there's a huge variety in how that's done. I think that's what's exciting for me. Not only is it very practical and helps you understand how movements work, but they're very exotic in the sense that there's all these different varieties of them.
Who uses it the best? So my imagination is actually Elang and Zona with the Zeitwerk actually does use it the best way because it's all about the digital switch gear that's within the watch, whereas a number of watches use constant force mechanisms in order to say this watch is highly accurate because it delivers the constant force. Whereas the Zeitwerk's actually using it for something really obvious in making all of these discs fly around at the same time and without fading, they click into place as the hour and the minute changes. Is there anyone else that uses it because they couldn't do what they do with the watch complication any other way?
I mean, they're used a lot by brands when they have a series or a very power hungry complication to help enable that. So, but I would agree. I think Longa probably has it because it isn't just a facilitator. It's kind of using it in a different way than you'll see it in most others. So I think it's so case specific. It's like saying one utensil over the other. It depends what you're cooking, right? But I like the chain and fusee because it looks awesome when you can just see this like tiny wee little chain wrapped in there. That's from a visual standpoint. Seeing who does it best, I'll give it to Longa. I think it's one of the most interesting implementations.
Good stuff. Okay, so secondary rant of the week. Another rant, this time from Ariel, against the 3-watch collection.
Or the 5. I mean,
or the 5, or giving it a number.
I've never thought to myself, you know what I'd like to do right now? Research a limited amount of watches to own. The idea that some other person decided 3 random watches that someone else might like where's the value in that? The whole point of this is choose watches for yourself. If anything, you're supposed to buy too many watches and then get rid of the ones you don't wear. Why you have to plan out in advance? I just don't understand what need this serves. Who's like, oh, finally, someone doing all the hard work for me. I mean, okay, so you buy your 3 watches and then what? You move on to another hobby and you buy your favorite 3 pairs of shoes, your favorite 3 cars, your favorite 3 girlfriends, and then do you just keep moving on to find pairs of 3s? I don't understand. Or the 5 watch collection. This came out. This is a social media thing. I understand this is popular on social media, but I don't know to who. And I just feel bad for the people who have to make these assortments. It's just so arbitrary. Yes, I'm the guy that refuses to say what my favorite watch is because, again, it seems arbitrary. Why would I have a favorite? That would mean the hobby's over. Are you asking me what I've been into lately? Okay, that's a completely different question than my, the ultimate definitive favorite watch that I've ever had, the one that I would kill all the other ones for. I just like why does everything have to be like war, right?
Well, I think it's some of the sentiment behind limiting, limit the excess, Marie Kondo, whatever. But like, I think some of it was like, here's 3 watches that could cover all your bases. And that might have had more practicality in like the 1950s. Today, the build quality, like most watches, if you only had that watch in some weird hypothetical, would be fine for most things. You could swim with it unless you needed it for scuba diving or something like G-Shock territory. Most watches would be fine. So having this thing where it's like, oh, I need this for aquatic use, or I need this to pilot a plane. You're not piloting a plane with your watch. They've got a wide variety of digital instruments that are going to help you out, and analog instruments if that's your forte and prefer that. So I think some of the desire of like, well, this is going to be assortment of a limited selection that will cover all your bases is just unnecessary because of the quality of modern watches. You don't need these 3 watches. One of those watches can do all 3 of those things competently.
I want to film the 1950s with us all wearing 1950s garb and the kind of slightly yellowed screen, and it sounded like we're on the radio, and we could all do a 3-watch collection a la 1950s style.
These
retro.
are all 35.5 millimeters wide.
The irony of it was like in the 1950s, there wasn't the multiple watches because the sport watch proliferation happened in the 50s and into the 60s. So back then it was, you got the best watch that you could, and that was your watch, and you'd wear it. And, if you broke it, you'd repair it.
Can we back up here? You talk about like, these are all the watches you need for all purposes. The purpose is to have fun, to make you feel good, and to remind you of things that you like. How can some guy who's never met you recommend 3 watches for you? This is not possible.
Because he found the algorithm, Ariel. He found the algorithm and is now talking to me from my phone and telling me what I need. I said I didn't need these 3 watches. I'm not a real collector unless I've owned a Speedmaster. I need this now.
Okay, so that's my rant. Content about watches, which is not made for human beings, but made for the algorithm. Okay,
that's the best. Okay, finally we got there. From shouting at clouds to an actual point. This is it. Yes.
You probably, listener out there, have heard watch content that may be by a human and be sort of speaking to a human, but is not ultimately intended to appeal to a human or be useful to a human. And if you see this content, stay away, and please find a human being that will talk to you, the personal you, look you in the eyes, hopefully, and care what you think about it. Because this is a problem. If you buy a watch because you think someone else will approve of it, you are not going to like it. And the only way that you're going to ever feel happy about that purchase, if someone goes up to you and be like, oh, you bought the important watch. Good job, pal. But that's never going to happen. So buy the watches you like. It just all goes back to that.
But just for the record, the 3-watch collection is a Submariner, a Speedmaster, and a G-Shock. Just for, the clickbait.
Is that like a typical?
I don't know. I've never watched these videos. I think most of them.
The revelation.
The revelation that a Submariner might be part of the average collection.
Go to watch collecting.
I mean, look, wind up, okay? 150 brands. Each of them has at least a few models there.
All of them losing money, because none of them make a Submariner.
All of them losing money because only few of them copy the Submariner these days. A lot more of them used to copy the Submariner, okay? That's thousands of watches there, okay? Isn't it beautiful that someone goes in there and chooses different stuff, and then you get to see this wonderful hodgepodge of different designs and different people wearing different things? Wouldn't it suck if they were all wearing the same 3 watches? Does any of us want to go to an event and just keep seeing people wearing the same things? Hell no. Hell no. These are I'm sorry, this is dangerous for the hobby.
It's dangerous.
Okay, rant over.
Is it rant over? Well, enjoy.
For now.
Feel free to suggest in the chat your ideal 3-watch collection.
How could you not vehemently agree with me? Seriously, do you guys want to go out and see the same 3 watches on people's wrists? No, that would bore you.
I already do.
I was going to say I live in Los Angeles. I already do. Yeah, it's like, it's either guy has Submariner, guy has Apple Watch.
You got the blue one? Shocking. How brave of you.
Got that bluesy, bro? Sup?
I will still advocate for the watch collector world that I want to live in.
One of these decades, Ariel. One of these decades.
Eventually.
let's discuss something from this article by Mike. This week's flyback, which is entitled So Many New Watches Edition. Let's focus on this. The Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon, the least new. Last week we had some chat about the when you're allowed to call something a new watch. I'm not sure what's actually happened here. Is anybody up to speed?
It's slimmer.
What they've done?
Yeah, they took the rotor off basically, so I think you get these in the manual wind configuration, and they are very expensive. They are very expensive watches.
$15,700.
Still cheaper than a Daytona. That's all they care about. They go to work and they look at it and they're like, should we price this over the Daytona just to show them, or should we price it below because I guess that's still okay?
Well, they've kind of put themselves in an interesting position because when the regular Speedmaster, like the bare bones plastic crystal manual wind entry level Speedy, is like almost $8,000 now. I think it is $8,000 if you get it on the bracelet. Mm-hmm. Where do you go from there for the ceramic case, higher end one? We're almost already at 5 figures. So it makes sense, the positioning of them relative to their catalog, but I don't really know. Omega was always like a more sensible decision when you were like, I don't really feel like paying Submariner money. You could get a really good dive watch in the Seamaster for a lot less. Same's true for the Speedmaster. Now when this thing costs just as much as a Daytona, it's less of that kind of value packed thing. And you just have to really like a gray Speedmaster at this point to pay $15,000 for it.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, this was a big hit in 2012, and then Omega tried to milk it for all it's worth. And they had all the different sides of the moon until there was no more moon left. And then I think they just made, I don't know if they continue to make this, I don't know. And this is probably the most underwhelming relaunch that at least Omega could have hoped for. Is it better? I mean, I don't get it. I'm just not.
I mean, it's strange to make these manual wind because the original Moonwatch manual wind, they're never going to change that. But it was sort of cool that you could get the coaxial automatic Speedies you could get them in metal cases, but you could get these in ceramic cases, and it felt like a tangibly different watch compared to the classic Moonwatch. By making them both manually wound, and this is just kind of like a larger ceramic version with a moon plate engraving things on it. I feel like it's bringing them a little too close together, where one was the original and one was the super modern execution. Now it's like, well, why do we go back to the manual wound movement? Well, the automatic one was really chunky, and so they made it thinner. But they made it thinner, and now it just feels like a really expensive version of the other one in ceramic and bigger.
I mean, is Omega just involved in ego pricing and ego releases? It just doesn't seem that there's any other reason for it.
Do you think it's possible that somebody might be trying to go back to the moon in maybe the next 18 months? And so Omega are just having to rev their engines to get ready for the bandwagon?
You know, honestly, if you did that these days...
the disappointment of not being selected.
Yeah, why on earth would you wear an Omega to the moon these days?
I mean, what would you wear?
Because they gave you one to wear. I would...
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess there's that.
Which watch brand should have its
I'm just saying, is that like the best moon watch these days? That's the best wristwatch for astronauts we can come up with?
This is the best.
No, but it is flight qualified and for EVA. So
are other watches.
For the EVA one, because a lot of them are flight qualified, but they can't use the X33s in space because of the temperature thing. And I think that's also the issue for the G-Shock. So maybe it's just because, just like NASA, when Omega was like, hey, we have this whole thing, we're going to make a watch specifically for space, and they're like, oh, we already did the testing, we're good, we're going to keep the old one.
I would wear a spring drive.
Oh, Grand Seiko would love that. You can look at the view of Mount Iwate from space.
Yes, I would not choose that dial. Thank you very much.
What color do you think the dial is of that Grand Seiko?
Okay, I was being a little practical here about the movement, and then you just made this about a mountain joke again.
A mountain joke. More mountain jokes. Dear me. Right. Yeah, it does. I mean, I didn't even know until I saw the flyback article that Omega had done anything with the Speedmaster in the last 7 days. No press releases that I was copied on, no coverage of any significance.
They don't want you to know.
I can see the algorithm was saying...
Omega's marketing
brain
plan is, we got new watches too, sort of.
And we just hiked the prices a little bit. I mean, we couldn't have done it without doing something. So they just did something, and then now the price is higher. That's it.
Okay, right. Well, let's do a review
Board
of
side of the moon.
Board side of the moon. The board side of the moon. I like that. I like that. Let's say, follow up on last week's What You Like. We have the... I can't remember who did this. Who came up with the Fat Man Festival in Ethiopia?
Okay, by the way, guys, speaking of the Fat Man Festival in Ethiopia, the industry listens to this show, which is great, but then I have to hear their feedback when I see them in person. So
they love it.
I heard a mouthful from Brahmot. Oh my gosh.
Did you? Oh, excellent.
Oh,
hello,
boy.
Brevin. I mean,
Thank you for all the free attention. Thank you so much.
Yes,
remember,
David. That's
no
exactly what it was. They gave me a hug,
okay.
gave me a brick of gold. Say thank you for all the help.
Where's my cap? Come on, Bremen. This head is able to be bought. Send me freebies, and maybe it'll balance off.
If you
the
want
criticism.
a Brahmot hat, I can arrange that, Rick.
No, I want Bremen to arrange it. I don't want a third party.
You want Brahmot to going back to
Bremen
back to
say,
ego.
you know what we need to do? We need to bribe this guy to stop abusing us and telling the truth about our brand.
You know, I said to them, the last Brahmot, if there was an issue, their form of damage control was let's bring you to our facility and let's chat and let's try to show you a good time and let's find you something you like. Okay. That was the old. The new Brahmot is, let me tell you what you're supposed to think about this.
All right, okay.
I do like some of what they do. I don't like some of what they do. But the thing is this. Their contention seems to be that Brahmot has not changed. It's the same Brahmot with slight little tweaks. And I'm like, okay. Even if there are people out there that like what you do now, which is likely and correct, it's not the same brand. The logo doesn't look the same. The models don't look the same. The movements aren't the same. You have some of the same names like Supermarine or Altitude, but other than that, Brahmot from most angles is a completely new company. So why don't you want to just say, yes, we've changed Brahmot and it's probably for a different consumer and that's that. Why would they say, no, it's the same brand. We're just, it's continuity. And I'm like, does anyone else think that? I don't think that. That was really the huge issue was you ended one brand in order to create another, like in its husk. And that's fine. We like new brands, but I think that's my principal problem is don't pretend it's a lot like the old Brahmot. Does anyone here think that today's Brahmot is a lot like the old Brahmot?
I mean, I would just say to Bremen, I own a Bremen. I have one and I like it. But I think, Ariel, you're correct. I think the problem is the kidology of trying to kid on us as to what they're doing when it's plainly obvious what's actually happening. And you know what? I think their strategy will probably work. I think it might not work as quickly as they want it to, but I think their strategy, certainly in the UK, may well work and that they become, again, it's maybe difficult for you guys to identify, but because you don't live in the watch world, but that they become what Tag Heuer was in the UK 15, 20 years ago, the ubiquitous brand, good watches.
And that's fine.
Seem expensive enough to be worth purchasing as a 21st birthday present or a graduation gift. Seem British enough that you want to do that rather than going elsewhere. I think the strategy will probably work, but the living in denial while doing it is not helping because it just keeps us talking about it. Come on the show. I'll interview you and we'll have an open and honest talk about where you were and where you're going. And so long as everyone's prepared to talk freely, then no problem at all.
So that's the thing. I don't disagree with where they're going. I just want them to acknowledge that it's not where they've been. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just, I think a lot of brands change and rebrand and pivot, but I think it's how it's communicated with the existing audience of the brand is crucial. And there was no communication during Brahmot's rebrand. And then to pretend like it's the same brand, up until that point, were largely an enthusiast brand. They were expensive for what they were, but they were interesting and nice, and it was not at all a mainstream brand. And so they had garnered this following within the enthusiast community, and then without communicating the change that was happening as far as the brand and everything, they roll out at Watches and Wonders with a new brand. No one really knows what to make of it or has much context as far as why they're doing it or anything like that. And then they've completely ceased talking to the enthusiasts that previously followed them and engaged them. And so the people who previously were fans of them, like myself, are kind of going, well, what's going on? Like you've changed and now you're not sharing why, or you're not making those same watches I was interested in anymore. And they're communicating to a completely different buyer. But without that communication to the old ones, you're going to have some people feeling like, well, what happened, and not really knowing what to make of it, or bringing them into the fold. Like Ariel said, invite them to the facility, explain this is what we're doing, why we're doing it. This is, kind of where we want to be headed. But without any of that communication, we're all just left to ponder what happened to the cool triptych case stuff and what's going on over there now.
And also you can release Stephen McDonald and let him out of wherever you got him hiding in the wing. Imprisoned in the safe room, still making a movement that just disappeared. David, your microphone seems that the gain might be, because I can hear you every breath you take. It's like a bad Sting song. There we go. So just, yeah, cool. So back to the fat man of Ethiopia and what you're like. So this is the Bodhi people who have a competition annual where the young Bodhi men attempt to gain the most weight in a few months to be chosen as the fat man. Ariel, you will have to explain this to the executives of the watch brand that you choose now to be the most like the fat man competition of Ethiopia. Which watch executive are you least likely to see?
Before Ariel answers, I would like to clarify that the cultural significance per Google of the Fat Man competition in Ethiopia is not about being overweight in a negative sense. Oh, Rick, you minimized it. I needed that. That was the whole disclaimer here.
Hey, the disclaimer here. It's back. For those watching on YouTube, it's back.
Yeah, the practice is not about being overweight in a negative sense, but rather a symbol of prestige and health within the community. The Fat Man is seen as an honored individual. So this is not overweight for being overweight's sake. This is about health within the community.
Okay, so which watch brand is the healthiest within the community? Is that what we're saying? Which watch brand, Ariel, is no longer going to Watches and Wonders, so you don't need to face up to the chief executive when he accuses
brand?
You?
Who gets fast really fast?
So I think this is Jacob & Co. I think this is Jacob & Co. for me, because Jacob & Co. is now about like how big, how expensive, how crazy can I make it? Like, and when you think back when I first learned of Jacob & Co.'s watches, it was like 5 quartz movements stuck in a behemoth of a case, and it was more about kind of the design and the jewelry. And now they're like, we're going to make 18 tourbillons and this fish tank looking thing, and it's all going to be set with rubies. So there you go. Fat Man of Ethiopia in Bugatti clad version.
And they're building buildings and they're doing things that are not. There's all sorts of places you can now hide your money along with Jacob & Co. If you need to move money without. Whatever.
It's not about being large and conspicuous in a negative manner. This is about the health of your bank account and how much more money you have than the rest of your community. This is, to me, this very much embodies the spirit of the Fat Man Ethiopia competition.
Okay, I'm up for that. Any other nominations for the Fat Man of Ethiopia? What you like?
I'm just imagining the people at the brands looking me in the eye after I just called them a fat man and being like, do you know how this makes me feel, Ariel? when you
to
call
make you
me
feel
and my brand.
a place of honor, because that's what the Ethiopians think of it.
That's what we say. And they're like, we're not in Ethiopia, are we, Ariel?
Oh, yeah.
Omega
I just had a lot out of the last couple of days where people had to come to me and you know, it was mostly compliments, but once in a while they're like, so I heard your podcast. I'm like,
And is it that stage you go, which podcast did you hear? The one that just you do that's serious, or the one that you do with us? Which
I think it became obvious really fast, really quickly.
No, that's the thing. I've said so many bad things about some of these folks. I don't know which instance they're referring to.
Okay, any other nominations then for the Fat Man? I think Jacob and Co is a good shout. Omega suggested in the chat as having the fattest catalogue. Any others?
Fat catalogue, yeah.
Fat catalogue. Okay.
The fatness.
Right. We have, I think this was the next one up. This is the Wikipedia page because I ain't searching for it in any other way. This is the Kanamara Matsuri festival, which
is it a steel phallus? Okay.
I think this is the steel phallus.
Oh, this is the one?
Yeah, I think so. I might be wrong, in which case I'm happy for anyone that's more into Japanese culture than I am.
The phallus, yes. The central theme of the event is reflected in illustrations and candy. All right. That's
candy?
Carved vegetables, decorations, and the Mikoshi parade. All right. Which is the most phallic brand is the question.
Yeah. Okay.
In a very metaphorical sense, of course.
And they have to produce a steel watch, apparently. That is...
Who are the biggest...
Phoenix in the chat is combining the Fat Man and Japan in some rather unfortunate Second World War themes. It was not a deliberate link.
All right.
For
this is the biggest phallus of the industry, Ariel. Here you go. Here's your other opportunity for
wow.
Is it possible is it possible for them to share the title as being the biggest phallus?
We're going to be banned in the UAE man? Before we even visit.
Yeah. Is it wearing the leather jacket?
Talking about Marvel comics. Right, so which
we have to go to Watches and Wonders and look them in the eye.
Yeah. just hope it's.
By the way, I spoke to Carlos from Bell and Ross.
By the way,
he's just like one of the few brands. No, he was one of the few brands not going back to Watches and Wonders, and boy, did he have a lot to say about it.
Is that right? Okay. What did he have to say about it? Is he upset?
Money well spent?
He does not feel that Watches and Wonders is a particularly good value proposition. Let's put it that way.
Oh, right. Really? Right. Okay, good. Well,
yeah, but he was very defensive about it as well.
Why doesn't he spend a tenth of that money on aBlogtoWatch? And what we'll do is we'll get him on this show for a week we'll do a show every day. Bell and Ross can sponsor it, and I'll bet you they'll get more value out of that than being at Watches and Wonders.
So has his team been talking to you? Because that's basically what they keep pushing. They're like, Ariel, tell him to spend. Tell him to spend. Like,
we'll just what are they doing with their booth? I could use the new dressing behind me instead of rocks. What if we just repurpose some of the old Bell and Ross booths?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm into it.
We just do all of our coverage that week sponsored by Bell and Ross. All of our Watches and Wonders coverage. No one will know that they weren't there because, only a very small percentage of people actually go to Watches and Wonders. If we just do all of our coverage sponsored by Bell and Ross, it'll cost them a tenth, and it will make them feel like they were there.
I think it's an interesting story. It does come down to money, of course, but I think Carlos and others, and he's not the only one, just stopped having fun there. And that's a really, it's a serious topic about this industry. Like, we try to keep it fun, but for a lot of people, especially with the economic issues, this has not really been like a fun industry for the last couple of years. So when you spend like millions of dollars and you're like, but I feel bad about this, you're like, you don't want to do that. You could be like losing a bunch of money. If you're having fun, everyone's like, okay, great.
Well,
so I think that these brands are like in the wilderness. They're looking for fun.
That's why we're doing which brand is most like a Japanese festival of the steel phallus, because we're keeping the watch hobby fun. So
Bell and Ross.
Who we know? Just Bell and Ross, just because the
Bell and Ross, BR1 phallus.
Okay. Any other nominations? No, Bell and Ross.
What is the criteria? I feel this is so...
What is the purpose of the festival other than celebrating steel phalluses?
It's to do... The festival started to become something of a tourist attraction and used to raise money for HIV research. I think it was a...
So it's a new thing?
Yeah, 1969.
It's like pretending to be old and ancient?
Yeah, 1969, Metalworks, Marital Harmony. Centered on a shrine... Yeah, it's to do with marital harmony and it being against sexually transmitted diseases, according to this. But it's Wikipedia, so it could be complete
When
fiction.
I hear marital harmony, I can't think of a single watch brand.
Watch.
Not a single watch brand comes to marital harmony. No, nothing. Not even a glimmer.
That's what you were missing.
Those things don't go together.
That's what you were missing from the survey.
His and hers watches. That's it.
You were missing from the survey how many the average number of divorces in couples is, let's say, 50%. What you needed to get from a number was, since you started collecting watches, how many of you have been divorced, to see if collecting watches actually increases or lowers the divorce level within the general population. That's the question you were missing.
And then the follow-up question is, following your divorce, what was the new average price of your watch collection?
Did you buy more watches or less watches? Yeah, I think you're missing the whole social aspect of this survey, Aaron. I think there's some social studies need to go in with this. Right, so we're nominating Bell and Ross BR1 for the Kanamara Matsuri celebration.
And we say that with love.
We do say that with love. There was another festival suggested, but I can't read my own writing.
I mean, otherwise it's the 5711 Nautilus is the steel phallus. True. I think that just perfectly sums it up.
I just thought
really.
None of us are quite clear like how to connect it to a brand. Like, we're really trying. Probably the obvious ones aren't there.
This next one, was it? I can't quite read my own writing, but it was something to do with cats. Was it the Big Cat Festival?
Oh, it was the American, a cat and dog owners and dog something. I think it was.
What was it called? Yeah. I can't see what it was called.
Just cat owners day or some made
cat
up nonsense.
Owners Day.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't sound a terribly exciting festival. Anyone get any other festivals? What's the? Just because we like to think of this show as bringing Hungarian culture to the fore to an international audience. David, what's the most obscure festival that you have in Hungary?
We will have to check if we're allowed to say. I'm not sure. Actually, it's funny because the moment when you realize that all the folklore songs and everything that you were taught in like grammar school and everything, they basically all are just full of double entendres, and basically it's just everything is just fancy speak for you know what. It's basically a whole word collapses on you and then another one opens. It's basically something that all of us have to go through, I guess, in this country at some point.
So, which is the festival that engenders that the most?
It's more like, well, that's a really good question. I think Easter has something about just showering girls with just so that they don't, whatever it is that flowers do when they don't get showered or watered or something like that. So there's some stuff like this, where like it's just part of our traditions, I guess.
Okay, let's okay, let's just let those traditions sit there quietly. We'll not delve into which watch most resembles any of that. That's fine.
Nice.
Okay, let's move on. So once you have accomplished the watch you like, then obviously the next place to go is to go and get a certification as a consumer. I am really curious about this because I thought this was an April Fool's joke. I genuinely had to check. Has Ariel published this early? Are we seriously saying you can now get certified as a consumer? Is this how you get into the Rolex boutique? You need to say, I am
starting
an
at $500. Yeah.
They charge. I did like the fact that they're charging for it as opposed to using all of that charity money to benefit society. Oh no, we'll take some more money off of you.
They put a lot of money into those educational materials, like years of it.
Tell us about this. Is it a good idea? Is it good? Like, does it look like it will actually be of value, or is it just a stunt?
So I agree that on the surface level, this sort of like seems hilarious. But if you think about it a little bit,
man at iPad.
It starts to make sense. Now, this whole thing is designed for people in the industry. Like if you're a salesperson, this whole system was designed to like train you enough about watches so you can communicate with consumers about it, right? That's really what this comes down to. If you're just getting in the watch industry, like marketing, especially sales, this type of certification would be an actual crash course to help you understand the culture a little bit. If you're a consumer, what's interesting about this is that if you are just getting started out, there's really no good education out there that's sort of like distilled down for you that isn't agenda based, right?
Have you not listened to our Watches 101 on this podcast? Is that not giving you an education?
We are an advanced level thing. If you're into the hobby already, you'll enjoy us. But if you're just getting into it, people will be like, what the hell is this? So something like this can teach you the basic history, the basic movements, the basic principles, the basic complications. It can give you enough context to go out and then understand the rest of the stuff. And it's from the source. These are the people that are literally not like guessing, not reading other stuff. These people are like creating this from scratch, dealing with the brands, wanting to have the most purest academic thing. They put an enormous amount of time into this and they took it so freaking seriously. So to be able to use this as a new watch lover rather than have to find a bunch of random schmucks on YouTube that are yelling at you, this is so much more effective and consolidated. That's why I think it's worth it. Because look, we know the amount of time that people put into the watch hobby. It's a lot, and I'm thankful for that. But when you're getting started, it is very difficult to know what the hell you're talking about. And just like watching Instagram or, again, the most popular YouTube personalities is not going to teach you shit. I mean, really, it's going to be confusing as hell. So this is actually a very effective way of becoming, dangerous, so to say, with this hobby getting started. It's not a stupid idea. Again, even though it kind of looks like a joke to begin with, once you like actually look at it, it's very valuable for a lot of people.
And is it purely technical?
No, the intro part, a lot of it is history, major players, brands, all of that. It sort of is like Watches 101. Right, and then there's other levels. After Watch Advisor, you can end up being a watch expert, but at that level, and there's tests after each stage. But the first one really more is just a whole background intro to sort of give you the whole framework that everything can be built on.
This sounds like Dungeons and Dragons for watch collecting. I'm sorry, you're expert now. You can be a dungeon master. I'm curious about how you educate.
10th level watch nerd.
Yes, I'm curious about how you educate without teaching about the things that went wrong or the bad things or the mistakes within watch collecting. I'm curious to how they're going to do that while keeping everyone on board, that they may need to say, well, yeah, they tried this and it didn't really work, so they had to scrap it and do something else instead. Or, I don't suppose they're going to touch on Brahmot's changing of direction or Zenith's wandering into silicon.
So you want to start having supplemental advanced level courses run by Rick?
I think, yeah. There's an idea. I think, yeah. I think we run the After Dark courses.
After Dark.
They're what they
the
really
PhD.
Yeah.
When you want your watch nerd doctorate, come to us.
I am curious about how it's delivered. Any freebie versions of this course going, so as we can try it out and see what it's like?
Oh, we can get you one.
I think,
but you got to study, sir.
I now have I'm recording on your location. There's a big blank bit of wall here. I think it's an FHH certificate on that wall.
You have to earn it, though.
I'll watch the videos. I can watch.
Will you study? Will you do a montage?
I'll do a montage. We'll do
Rick studies montage.
I'll put a camera in the top corner, a time lapse, and you'll see me just squirreling away.
I want to see you like watching the videos, like brushing your teeth, like
wandering around the house with the iPad.
Every extra minute. I got to know all this.
I got to study. Well, if the FHH would like me to try it, I am more than happy to take.
Oh, they would be delighted to have us talk about the test.
That's fine. Well, I'm up for it.
But David and I took it a long time ago.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So already exists. So this is new.
We're already certified.
You're already certified. Where's your certificate?
No, they're now making it available to consumers in the U.S. This previously was something that was offered largely to, for companies and people at
sophisticated
brands
Europeans
and retailers. So now everyone who wants to learn can get their hands on the same info.
So if you want to learn, you can spend $500 with the FHH.
Honestly, it's not a bad gift either. Let's say you have a buddy and they don't know enough about watches. Rather than you having to be that guy.
Yeah, don't let them spend $1,500 on junky, crappy watches. Just get them the $500 course that they can then make informed purchases for themselves.
Can I just say that in light of the survey that we did, that giving your other half a certificate, a course, so that they can be as interested in watches as you are, is not going to help with the divorce rate. So can I suggest you don't buy this for someone that's not interested in watches?
If anything, it'll be worse. Then my wife will just be like, I know what Breguet is. Absolutely not. Are you bringing that home?
How very dare you buy something
that is not $300 like you said it was.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could be very dangerous. It is being suggested that we should actually maybe a collection, and we should give one to Nico specifically. Can you get them personalized, like FHH certification sponsored by Hublot or something? Or Hublot part
yeah, you can have formulated for it's more weighted towards questions about that brand and stuff like that.
Excellent. Let's buy one for Nico.
He can't talk poorly about Hublot until he passes the FHH certification about Hublot.
I think that's perfectly reasonable. I think that should be enforced. You should have to show your certification.
That's good. Like if you talk crap about a brand, the first question is, do you know what you're talking about?
Are you certified?
Are you certified? Yeah. Are you certified to make that criticism?
Where's your certification for your opinion?
Show me your papers.
Can you imagine if that was actually how it worked? Anyway, right. To conclude today, the flyback, so many new watches edition. Let's quickly flick through these. I don't know why it starts off with John O'Groats. Is that some sort of expletive for Mike? John O'Groats, it seams like all of a sudden we're in high watch season.
What's a groat?
I don't know.
Mike's in Virginia, right?
That explains that.
No, but John O'Groats is a place in Scotland. It's the furthest northern point. Oh, it's not quite the furthest northern point. The furthest northern point in Scotland is John O'Groats. Anyway, there we go. Right. So first up, Moles 528 Series 2. Thoughts, feelings, emotions?
It reminds me of that AP, but it's like way like a nicer. 100th of the price or whatever.
Yeah,
like a millenary. Yeah.
Yeah, like
and also an Outlands or something. I don't. Yeah, this is. I wouldn't ever want it on my wrist, but at least it's different.
Yeah, and it's only 1,600 quid, so it's not. It's not.
It's like a good social watch for a young person going out meeting people. It's the right kind of. What is that on your wrist?
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Is your dial all the way over to the side on purpose?
So the Moles 528 Series 2. What else about this? We've already talked about it. The Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon.
Already forgot about it.
Under the radar. Yep. Didn't need to know any more about it. The Formex Essence Ceramica.
Solid dial now.
Yeah, $3,000, nearly $4,000. This is a bit of a stretch, I think.
But it's like $1,000 less, I think, than the same version with the skeletonized movement.
Right, okay.
And it is the first clasp with the micro extension made fully in ceramic. So there's that as well. It's within the context of ceramic watches on ceramic bracelets. It's expensive relative to Formex's watches, but it's a complex case. It's the same Essence case. Like the crown screws down on these as well. There's a lot going in. It hardly seems overpriced when you look at what that same money will get you for full ceramic watches elsewhere.
Has this got the articulated case?
It's a nice watch too.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what?
The articulated case.
Exactly. It's the same articulated case, except it's just all in ceramic. One difference between this and the core collection, just like the new 41 millimeter models, the crown actually screws down on these. So that's cool. And the clasp is a much more substantial fold over variety rather than the butterfly style you get on the steel ones.
I mean, they're very nice watches. I do like the Essence. So yeah, go check this out in ceramic.
But you're right. It's a new price level. You know, that this is a watch that many people thought of as being around 2000, and now it's jumped to a significantly different level.
Moser Streamliner Tourbillon Pierre Gasly, because what says class? Yeah, what says class about your watch brand is doing a collaboration with a slightly average driver.
He's firmly average, and he's in a sub-average car. Let's just.
So is he more average than the car he's in?
Oh, he's way better than the car he's in. He's on Alpine. Alpine is so bad. They're owned by Renault, and Renault is abandoning Renault as an engine supplier for next year. Like Alpine is so bad right now. They're like, you know what? We know we're the works team for Renault. We're not even going to use the Renault engines. We're going to use Mercedes powertrains next year. So he is a much better driver than his standings this year would look. But, he is not one of the elite. He's not ever been in contention. He was demoted from Red Bull. So there's that.
And he thought that the watch collab that he would do with Moser's, your team sponsor, Alpine, would be a gold tourbillon streamliner. This doesn't feel very... What of this screams in any way a collaboration with anybody? This is just a Moser watch. It's not a collaboration. It's just a Moser.
17th out of 20th is your positioning in your sport. On right now, that's his position. You take the little victories when you can. And if someone was like, hey, here's a solid gold tourbillon, be like, you know what? P17 is not that bad right now.
Yeah, yes, that's true. That's fair enough. And there is a marker at 10 o'clock, a nod to Gasly's racing number, right, as opposed to his place of average finishing. So he's number 10, is he? That's fine.
So there's a version of that watch I saw just when meeting with them. It was awesome. It was the same Streamliner tourbillon, but it had a Vanta black dial. I don't know what the case material was. It was not. It was definitely not. Maybe it was white gold, but it was not. It was. I don't think it was steel, but again, it was not this color. And it had a bezel, which is interesting because the bezel of the Streamliner has an interesting shape to it, of baguette blue sapphires. So blue baguette sapphire bezel and the Vanta black dial with the tourbillon. That was really, really cool.
I'm just trying to find it. Discover all. Now, I still have an objection with Moser and the GPHG because of this watch they've entered. Where's the blue? That's a Streamliner.
Oh, it's not even there.
Not even there. There we go.
But you can see how they do at least the stones in the bezel there.
Streamliner is really nice. Do like it. A lot.
That was dope. It was cool.
But this one here, whereby the digital version is entered in GPHG, but in the budget class, which I think is less than 5,000 or something, or 10,000 Swiss francs. But you have to buy the other one in order to be able to buy that one. So I don't get it. I think I'm gonna officially complain to the GPHG. I'm sure they will obviously listen.
It's like saying, this restaurant gives free apps. It's like, no, you ordered the prefix meal and this is like an add-on thing they're bringing you in the beginning. This is you can't say that it costs what it is if $65,000 is the prerequisite for it.
Are you taking issue with inconsistencies at the prestigious GPHG?
Dear me. Right, integrated bracelet watches. Here's one from Lewis RR, the 2340. Seems nice, seems generic. Priced.
I like how Mike is also disillusioned with the name. He's like, that's the best name they could come up with. It was just a bunch of stupid numbers. 4 dumb numbers. 2, 3, 4, 0. Really?
Yeah, it's basically someone's way of remembering their PIN code and their bank card. I keep forgetting what it is. So it's written on the back of the watch now. It's nice enough, I suppose, but entirely generic. Unlike the Arnold & Son Nebula 40 Steel, Ahmed Siddiqui 75th edition. What's 75th about this? Is this how long Siddiqui have been in business? Do we know?
Yeah, it's their anniversary year this year. So they're going to be probably 75 watches celebrating it.
It's a nice watch. I like Arnold & Son. They're not spoken about enough, probably.
They have an awesome moon watch coming out. You know that spherical moon thing they do?
Yeah.
They're coming out with a new one. It's just a slight. It's a USA only one. It's slightly less expensive,
Although
but it's awesome looking.
I did object to that because they advertised that watch as having the largest moon, or if I remember correctly, on any watch. Yes, they are. They are, because Konstantin Shakin's moon on his watch is larger than the Arnold and Son one. So there you go. I checked many moons ago when that was announced. The Qualcomm Project O2 and F edition. What?
That's too many Fs.
Is this like something from Silence of the Lambs? Yeah, I don't. The Anthony Hopkins watch. I also like the fact that it's the and F edition priced at CHF free. What's going on here? It's an interesting looking watch, but code. I don't get it.
If you've ever wondered how terms and our numbers are made up in the watch industry, just look at this brand.
Right, so the FFFF stands for Friends, Family, Fools, and Flippers.
All right, okay. All right, it's not like
that's classy.
It's not like a numbers thing. Is that not like the way you write some base numbers?
No, it's for friends, family, but also fools and flippers.
I think that'd be a good title for a new show. Maybe a new section. Friends, Family, Fools and Flippers. Sponsored by Colloquium. There we go. New game. Rather than, was it Snog, Marry, Avoid, whatever it's called, with a friend, a family, a fool or a flipper. There we go. You can check it out for 3,333 Swiss francs. It's nice looking, if you like that sort of thing, I guess. Denison ALD Dual Time Capsule Collection 2. Yeah, $950. Probably can't go wrong if you like this kind of design at that kind of price. I assume this is this a dual movements, two tiny movements? I assume it's quartz. Yes, it is
Imagine
quartz.
if one side was just a graphic.
One side's a picture. It's just
a picture of two hands.
Yeah. I quite like this. It's kind of, Apple Watch vibe. But
it's artsy.
A real watch. Yeah, it'll go down well. Go check it out. Denison on the website. And then Frank Mueller, Vanguard, Alquim. I don't know how you pronounce that. Alquim. What? Any advance?
And there's even a period before the word. It's like .alquimium.
Alquimium.
I mean, even before that, the FFFNF was, I was going to say, it brings me back to like 2010s levels of pretentiousness. And then we have Alquimium. There's, of course, the sculpture, and there's a watch that looks like every other Vanguard ever in history.
It seems to have been, the case seems to have been at the bottom of the ocean.
I hate to be cliche, but I feel that a large percentage of the creative process behind the watches in this particular post may have involved a lot of smoking something. Yeah. I mean, these are not traditionally sober marketing decisions we're saying. I'm just saying, look at the watches, look at the thieves, look at the names. There's no spreadsheets here. There's no math going on. There's just a bunch of guys in a room inebriated in some way being like, let's try this. Let's call it that. What are we going to price it at? Oh, those numbers.
Yeah, Aquilmatic, or how we pronounce it, some sort of Mexican art thing, but I can't really see anything about it on the internet, which is always disturbing. It's Frank Mueller. What are you going to do? Seiko Roto Call. What do we think? Are we glad
Does
this
it
is
change the function when you turn the bezel like the original?
Yes. So apparently they have carried that over. I love that. I don't know why they couldn't have just put a sapphire crystal in it.
Gotta keep you wanting more. The Seiko way.
$480. We should really play guess the price of the Seiko, but let's just see how much screaming there is on Seiko's own website about it, which seems to be like, how many clicks to find this new watch?
Could be a while.
I
do like that they're doing this, though. We often say that Seiko kind of falls into a rut and they'll make like, I don't know, however many versions of the 62 Master, or even now making the Marine Master look like one. But they really have an interesting back catalog, and a lot of they think the most interesting Seiko models aren't the ones that are at the forefront today. They're some of the weird ones they did throughout history. And my God, do they have some weird ones. This isn't, by no means is it the weirdest, but I do like to see them just not just sticking with the traditional 1960s era analog style thing. This is it. It doesn't feel fresh and new. It's a, kind of a recreation of an old watch, but within the context of Seiko and what we've been seeing from the brand recently, I like this. I think this is fresh and interesting for them.
What even is it? I'm on the Seiko website and it gives me the option of collections. And I've got King Seiko, Prospects, Presage, Astron, and 5 Sports. Which collection is this one in?
I think you're on the wrong website.
Am I? Why am I on the wrong? No, I'm more at Seiko. What alternative website is there?
Rotocall.com.
You think it's got its own? No, I'm on the. Let's see if there's anything on this for Seiko. No, there is. I'm on the main Seiko website. It's not in their news section.
They don't have a pillar for it.
Yeah, there's nothing. Is it? It's not an Astron. It's not a Sports. Is it a Prospects? Do you think it's
just type in Rotocall?
Rotocall. Let's see where it goes. Where's the search function? Rotocall.
Good luck.
Is that what it is?
This is it.
The search is not returning any.
Of course not.
I wasn't kidding. You're on the wrong website.
How am I on the wrong website? This is Seiko's website.
That's not specific enough.
It's not specific enough.
There are multiple different Seiko websites.
There are.
Right, so we'll just go It's the one linked to their article. So Seiko Watch. It's still SeikoWatch.com.
Seiko is just still the worst. I mean, it's just.
No, it's the same website. All websites go to the one place. It's just literally not on their website.
Try searching Seiko Rotocall, and they probably haven't set up the.
Remember Seiko Lux? That was a different website.
Seiko Rotocall.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have the landing page and product pages, but they have not created the directory for it. If it's not a Prospects, they don't know where to put it right now.
Yeah, Seiko. What is this we're on here? Okay, we have so this is Seiko watches. Okay, so we're on the same website. Okay, really confusing. So this is the Seiko. This is it on the Seiko website, SeikoWatches.com. But that is also the website I was on, I thought. Let me just check this again. I thought that was the website I was actually on when I did. Yeah, it is. So it's on SeikoWatches.com, as you can see from that image there. That is SeikoWatches.com. But if you go to Seiko, so on that website, let's see. So I'm now searching on the very website, which is the website it was on, for the watch that you're looking at, and it doesn't return any results. So
no, but if you go to collections and then discover more, apparently
how dare you criticize Japanese website design?
But I'm actually on the website, the same website this has been displayed on. I'm seeing it says SM. Does it just not call it? Yeah, there's the word Rotocall exists on the Seiko website.
Once known as the Seiko Rotocall. There was once a story long forgotten.
So let's see if I search for the actual reference SMGG21 in the search box of the website that I'm actually watching.
It is true that true Seiko people search by the reference number, and then it still doesn't work. That's the true Seiko experience. All of it.
So
the question is, what can you search for? That's what I want to know.
Everyone should be fired from Seiko's online presence, everything ever.
This is
from the last 10 years.
Pay attention. I'm actually looking at the picture on your website of the watch I'm interested in, and yet when I search from the same page,
if I had a time machine, I would go back and not stop word hunger or wars. I would fire everyone from Seiko online.
That's right.
Back in 2015.
We're going to Seiko and we're sacking the web team. Right. Okay. Let's stop sharing.
We still like the Rotocall.
Yeah, the Rotocall is lovely. The website.
They should make it easier to find. It's really cool. They should tell people about this more. They should tell
people about it. I suppose it means they're driving traffic to our website if it's not available on theirs.
At some point, Seiko had, I believe, 4 different media and press sites, and none of them worked. Literally, not one of them. None of them had the things.
And all of the photography was in 720.
8 times the charm.
but they were operating these websites simultaneously. So there was one for the US, there was one for the UK, there was one for Japan, there was one for global. There was one that you could only enter with all it asked for was a password. So you went there, it was not like registered. So if you knew the code, which had like all these like nonsense in it, then you could enter, and maybe or maybe not, it would have what you were looking for. Probably not. And even if it had it, sometimes it only had a PDF. So no pictures, nothing, no price. It's just a PDF online. Who would go through the trouble of remembering a password just to find a PDF in like 2020 or whatever?
But you remember once in a while where they would have the information you need? You're like, oh my God, how did this happen?
Gold.
Once in a while, Seiko, all the stars would align.
Who knew
all the mountains would line up in a row.
On that bombshell, turns out Seiko don't run good websites, which we kind of knew already. Okay, next week's show, what is going to be our What You Like? We've had, well, actually, David, we gave you some warning. You were going to come up with something.
For
I can't
what?
remember what. For next week's What You Like, Hungarian something or other. What was
I
that?
think
The
enough of
endless
Hungary.
treasure trove of Hungarian culture.
Let's make our way to Scotland, please.
Scotland. So what could we select Scottish wise? I mean, we could do food. So particularly Scottish food. So we should do that. Okay, here we go. So your research for next week is which watch is most like haggis. Which watch or brand is most like rumble thumps? Okay, so you need to look up what rumble thumps are.
Is that something that you should do at home, or could you do that at a cafe hypothetically and not have?
Do that. You can do that anywhere and not get arrested in Scotland. I cannot speak for elsewhere. And I think probably we go drinks. So we go Iron Brew. Have any of you taken? Oh no, actually, in the chat. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. In the chat is being suggested square sausage.
Was that the drink that ruined people's lives?
Iron Brew or square sausage?
Well, are they both drinks?
No. So square sausage. So your categories for next week for What You Like are haggis, rumble thumps, and square slice sausage, or what you call
that's like
Lorne
spam,
sausage.
Right?
No, it's not like spam.
Square sausage.
Square sausage.
How dare you compare our square meat to your square meat?
No, it's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Is it more like a Wendy's burger where it's like a square patty?
It's just kind of, yes. It's more kind of that. But you can look it up. It's called Lorne sausage is the technical term. But square slice sausage is what you would have in a breakfast roll. You'd ask for square sausage or you'd ask for sausage links, depending on what you wanted your sausage to look like. But that's enough sausage talk. That's our show for this week. What exciting things have you got happening in your respective lives in the week to come? David, what's on the desk for reviewing?
The Octo Finissimo is how I call it. Yeah.
Which one?
The brown dial, sorry, I would call it.
Salmon. Ripley, what's coming in the weekend?
This comes out on Wednesday. It's the RZE Resolute 36.
Nice.
It's their like dressiest watch they've done yet, but still a tool watch. Quite cool.
Cool. Ariel, what are you reviewing this week?
Oh my God, I have so many watches to write about right now. I took some interesting shots of some high-end stuff when I was in New York. I'm going to be writing about that. I have about 20 watches here to review of everything from like plastic quartz watches to like stuff in platinum. It's all over the place. So I just got to get through all that. But there's just so many watches. I'm excited about it. So yes. Lots of watches.
Well, thank you all very much for tuning in, and we will see you all in a week or so's time. No extra time this week, but we will see you in a week or so's time. Cheers, bye. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.